Hello and welcome back to this video where we're now going to be taking a look at building out this back section of our knife, and then we'll proceed to start adding those finer details to our overall knife handle here. So all we need to do is unhide that piece that we've hidden before, and if we go ahead and add a turbo smooth and set this to 2 just like before, what we should get is these two pieces should line up fairly nicely. Now there is some things we need to fix here. However, for the sort of middle section here, it's fairly straightforward. So what we want to do is we want to do the same thing as what we did before. So we want to create a cylinder, so roughly the same sort of size, and I'm just going to delete this for now actually, and I'm gonna hide this, and I'm gonna select this and scale it up, and I want to set this down to, let's see, 4, perhaps 5 might be a little bit easier in this case. Scale this up and convert this to editable poly, select inverse and delete. So now we can unhide all, we can select this, and again we can use that cut tool. So we're going to cut from here, and we're going to turn on the snaps, and then from here to here, and so on and so forth. Now what we're going to do is we are going to weld these together. So let's target weld these like how we had done before. And then what we also need to do is we need to cut these into the right position. So let's go down to cut, and we're going to cut from here to here, and here to here. This one is already fine, and I think let's do this one to here. Actually, let's do this from here to here, and let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think it's going to be best going to here, and probably here to here, and then what we could most likely do is select these and just remove them totally. Now what that will mean is that we'll have to make a slight alteration, so we'd have to move this up. However, once we've done that, we can now do exactly the same thing as what we did before. We can do, we can delete this, and then choose to insert, go to perspective, or we can push this in, and then we can choose extrude, and I'm going to set this to be 0 again, delete this, and then from here we can now ring the selection, choose connect, choose 2, push these towards the outer edge here. Now it looks like as if there's an issue in doing that, so what we need to do is we need to go over to where it says utilities, and we're going to choose reset XForm, reset selected, and then convert, and choose that to editable polygon, and then this time choose connect, and so now you see we can now connect with 2 of these nice and smoothly. And the reset XForms just allows us to reset the scaling information here. So if we turn this off and then go back down to this turbo smooth, so if we choose this and choose 2, okay, we can also add our symmetry. And so we need to make sure this is on the right axis here. We need to go to, I believe, is it, oops, Z. Choose flip if that doesn't appear. And what we can also do is just reset the pivot point here. So there's only one last thing we need to do here. We need to fix it so we get this sort of line too. So let's do that. We are going to select on these edges, with the exception of these. So let's deselect all these. And let's select all these ones and so on and so forth. And again, we're just going to go through that same process here. We're just going to bring these in. And we want to bring these ones down and inwards. So let's do the same here. Looks like we have selected on the wrong path here, so there we go. Something like this. And something like this. And let's pull this inwards. And please excuse me for the silence there. I was just concentrating on what I was doing. So we have these two sections, and let's just see how they look before. Okay, so what we need to do here is select this, and I'm gonna pull this inwards. Now, what I can see here is that it's not exactly lining up to how I'd like. And so I think what I'm going to do here is on this piece, I am going to okay, so yeah, so here's what I'll do is I'll take this and I'm going to select all those sort of inner polygons, and I'm going to extrude these just a little bit. So I'm going to choose extrude, I'm going to choose local poly, and I just want to bring them out just a little bit. Now that will create an issue on the backside, so we'll need to delete this back polygon here, and this back polygon, which should be around here. So it looks like as if we've messed up here. So it's okay, we can fix this. So we're just going to choose extrude, choose OK, delete this, and we want to collapse. So we're going to use a tool called collapse to collapse these two, and then these two. And then what we can do is we can go down to polygon and delete this. And so now you see we've got this outer edge for this one, and we want to do exactly the same here. So let's do that very quickly. So I'm just going to turn off show end result. I'm just going to quickly select everything, and I'm going to deselect all this, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go down to extrude, make sure it's only a very tiny amount. So I'm going to choose local polygons, extrude upwards, and again I need to delete those back facing or backside polygons here. otherwise we're going to get issues. Once we have done that, if we now go to Turbo Smooth, we will need to bring these back, just like this, to better match what it is, or to better match the overall shape here. So this is again just a lot of select and manipulate, and so on and so forth. So now you can see we have this very nice line right down the center here. So okay, so I think the one last thing we can probably do for all this is, now if we delete the symmetry and turbo smooth on all these, delete and do the same here, delete and delete. Now what we can do is we can attach these. So scroll down here, we're going to choose attach, and we're going to attach all these. We can now reset the pivot point, so we're going to set this to 0. Now we can add that the symmetry back on, so we're going to add that symmetry right over here, and now we can add that turbo smooth back on. So let's choose turbo smooth. We're going to set this to 2, and what it's going to allow us to do is to turn on show end result and actually see how this knife is beginning to look. So what I was hoping, or what I'm going to do, is just making it just a little bit thinner. So I think something like this looks much better. So if we turn this off, okay. So what we can also do is we can do that same process of extruding here if we want to make this more refined like this. However, I think that this looks fine how it is. A slight variation, slight difference always looks a little bit better in my personal opinion. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.